Hello, students. You are welcome once again. Welcome to a new year. Happy New Year to all of you. My viewers, Happy New Year. All right, this year we favor all of us in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, today we are going to look at biology. This is my first class of the year. So I think we are going to start with introduction to biology. Then after the intro, we look into recognition of living things. How do we recognize living things? All right? What is biology? The word biology is started from two Greek words, which are bios and logos. Bios and logos. All right? Bios means life. Then logos means study. Logos means study. All right? Now, the word biology, that is bios logos, is another term for biology. You call it bios logos. That's what it means. Bios logos is another term, that is the Greek term for biology. All right? Now, biology means life. Logos means study. Biology here is study of life. Do you understand? Biology is the study of life. You see why I say that? This is the most important topic in the whole world because you can't do anything without life. You understand? You can't study biology without life. I can't teach without life. You can't listen without life. So life is so precious. Likewise, biology is so precious because this is where we are studying life. Do you understand? Right. Now, biology as the study of life, that means in this subject, we are going to study life in this subject. As precious as life, we are going to study life here today. All right? So in the study of biology, we are studying life. Now my question is this. How do we study life in biology? Can you see life? Of course, no, you can't see life, but you feel life, right? Okay, now, how do we study this life in biology? That's my question. You don't know it? Oh, you are surprised. Don't worry, let me tell you. We study life in biology by studying living things. Okay, you are surprised. Okay, don't worry. We study life in biology by studying living things. Why? Because living things are those things that has life in them. Do you understand? We study life in biology by studying living things. Because living things are those things that have life in them. Now, these living things are broadly classified into two. We have it as plants. We have it as animal. Living things are classified as plants and animal. All right? Now, the branch of biology that study plants is known as botany. That is known as botany. The branch of biology that study animal is known as zoology. All right? Zoo and logos. Zoo means animals. Logos, of course, is study. All right. Now, we have some plant and animal because of their size. We cannot see them. They are too microscopic. We can only observe or see them with the help of microscope. Do you understand? We cannot see these tiny plants and animals with our two naked eyes because of their size. All right? Now, the branch of biology that studied them is known as microbiology. Why microbiology? Here is the study of plants. Here is the study of animals. So it simply means that if biology is the study of life, which we study life by studying living things, and living things are broadly classified as plants and animals. All right? Because here in microbiology, we still have some plants and animals that we cannot see with our two naked eyes. You can simply say that biology is the study of plants and animals. Now, those small plants and animals that we cannot see with our two naked eyes because of their very small size, the branch of biology that studies them is known as microbiology. As biology is study of plant and animal, the word micro means what? Small. This one means study of life. So it simply means that microbiology is the study of microorganism, or you can say small organism that you cannot see with your two naked eyes. All right? You can say that it is the study of microorganism. Micro is the same as small. Do you understand? All right. Now, the scientist that study botany is known as a botanist. All right? Is known as a botanist. Then the scientist or the biologist that study animals in the field of zoology is known as a zoologist. Do you understand? Now, the biologist that study microbiology or that study microorganism is known as microbiologist. Do you understand? Now, a person that study biology is known as a biologist. Do you understand? It is known as a biologist. Now, I want to use this opportunity to let you know that the father of biology is Aristotle. Aristotle is the father of biology because of his extensive experiments in the field of biology. The father of biology is Aristotle. All right? Now, let's look at recognition of living things. Recognition of living things. How do we recognize living things? All right? We have what is called characteristics of living things. Characteristics of living things, which is Mr. Niger plus dark. Mr. Niger plus dark. These are the characteristics of living things. They are 10 in number. Characteristics of living things. M stands for movement. R stands for respiration. N stands for nutrition. I stand for irritability. G stands for growth. E stands for excretion. R stands for reproduction. D stands for death. A stands for adaptation. Then C stands for competition. Okay? All right. Now, these are the characteristics that we observe to recognize living things. All right? Now, let's look at movement. Living things can move from one place to another. Both plant and animals moves. All right? But the movement in plants is different from that of animal because plant is constantly fixed in a place. All right? Plants don't have legs to move from a place to another place. All right, so we have this special type of movement for plants. All right, it's not the same as that of animal. Now, how do plants move? Parts of plants, something like the leaves, the shoots, the roots, they can move in order to respond to change in the environment. They can move in order to respond to external stimuli. You understand? The plant movement is known as plant response. All right? Because plant is trying to respond to the stimuli, that's why they move. All right? But this plant movement is of two types. Movement in plants. All right? Movement in plants and movement in animal. They are not the same. Plant movements. Remember, this is introduction class, so I will not go deep like that. All right? Movement in plants is known as tropic movement. All right? Tropic movement, or you can call it tropism. You can call it what? Tropism. And another movement in plants is nastic movement, or you can call it nastism. All right? Tropic or tropism is a directional movement. The plants move towards a particular direction in order to respond to the stimuli. Why this one here, nastic movement, is a non-directional movement, which plant responds to humidity. As the plant is trying to respond to humidity, that is why they carried out this movement. The plant will either open up or close together. All right? This type of movement is seen in 4 o'clock plants and sunflower. All right? They respond to humidity. All right? Now, the tropic is classified into different types. We have phototropic movement, which is also known as phototropism. We have hydrotropism. We have chemotropism. We have rheotropism. All right? These are different plant response, which is also known as movement in plant. All right? Then animal movement is known as tactic movement or taxism, which involve the whole part of an animal to move from a place to another place in order to respond to change in their environment. Then why do animals move? As I told you, plants move in order to respond to stimuli. Animal move maybe in search for food or to escape from danger. All right? When an animal moves towards the source of water, animal move to get water from a river. It moves to the source of water, moving to the source of water. You can see that source of water. They move there to get water. What do we call this type of movement? We call it positive hydrotaxism. Positive hydrotaxism. When they move toward the source of light, we call it positive phototaxism. So as I said, we are not going to move deeper today. This is introduction. All right? So the time I'm going to look at this as a topic, I'm going to explain more in details for you to understand properly. All right? So this is introduction. We are not going to waste much of our time here today. All right. Then the next we're going to look here is respiration. Respiration. Let's look at respiration. Living organisms have the ability to produce chemical energy for metabolic activities. And respiration here is the series of stepwise reactions controlled by enzymes in which living organism breaks down glucose in order to produce carbon dioxide and water as the waste products and produce chemical energy utilized for metabolic activities in form of adenosine triphosphates. All right? Now, this respiration here is divided into two types. We have external respiration, then we have internal respiration. All right? Then external respiration here, we have two phases of external respiration. We have here inspiration, and which is also known as inhalation. All right? Then we have expiration, which is also known as exhalation. I hope you are following. All right. Now, inspiration simply means breathing in, to breathe in. All right? Then expiration means to breathe out. Do you understand? Now, external respiration here is also known as, you can call it gaseous exchange. Gaseous exchange that takes place at the lungs. Because in the entire respiration, we also have gaseous exchange. Do you understand? We also have gaseous exchange. But this takes place at the cellular level. All right? Now, this internal respiration here is also known as cellular respiration. You can call it cellular respiration. All right? Reason because it occurs at the cellular level. All right? Now, in this case, this is where we have it divided into two as aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. All right? Aerobic, because it requires enough oxygen. It requires excess oxygen. All right? Here is when there is insufficient oxygen supply that this type of respiration occurs. Your textbook will tell you that this guy here, anaerobic, occurs in the absence of oxygen, right? Please take note. It will still give you 2 ATP, right? Because in this case now, glycolysis is possible. And what is glycolysis? Glycolysis is incomplete oxidation of glucose to produce pyruvic acid and 2 molecules of ATP, which the living organism utilize for metabolic activities, right? So if this guy is oxidation, we call it incomplete, right? Incomplete oxidation of what? Glucose. Oh, that means there is oxidation here, right? That means there is oxygen present, but the amount of oxygen required is insufficient. It is not enough to carry out the Krebs cycle, which is the second step of aerobic respiration. All right? Aerobic respiration here have 2 steps. One is glycolysis. Second is Krebs cycle, right? The Krebs cycle. Glycolysis takes place in the cytoplasm. We are still going to explain this in details by the time we move into the topic here. Then Krebs cycle takes place in the mitochondria. I hope you are following. Now, during the process of glycolysis, 2 ATP is produced. Then pyruvic acid is also produced. That is why it is incomplete oxidation. Now, in the Krebs cycle that takes place in the mitochondria, the pyruvic acid is now completely oxidized in the mitochondria to produce 36 ATP, then to also produce carbon dioxide and water, which serve as a waste product. Do you understand? Now, that is why you can say that in aerobic respiration, 36 plus 2 will give us how many? 38 ATP produced in the aerobic respiration. While in the anaerobic respiration, it is only the 2 ATP that is produced because there is no Krebs cycle to take place as a result of insufficient oxygen supply. You understand? Because the first step is incomplete oxidation, which is what? Glycolysis and glycolysis. So there is no sufficient oxygen to complete the process here. So that is why we now have it as the types of anaerobic, we have it here as lactic acid fermentation, then yeast fermentation, which is also known as alcoholic fermentation. Because in this case, ethanol is produced. Ethanol, which is C2H5OH. This is ethanol. Ethanol is produced as the end product. Then here, lactic acid is produced. And that is why the name is lactic acid fermentation. Then here is yeast fermentation or alcoholic fermentation. Do you understand? So living organisms have this ability to undergo respiration in order to produce chemical energy for metabolic activities in form of adenosine triphosphate. Do you understand? Okay. Now here, let's look at nutrition. Let's look at nutrition. Living organism. How? Nutrition. This is the characteristics of living things, in which the living organism have the ability to obtain materials from their external environment to provide them with nutrients. You understand? The material they obtain from their environment yield them nutrients, which is now used to carry out growth, development, and other metabolic process. All right? Now, this nutrition is divided into two. We have autotrophic nutrition. We have heterotrophic nutrition. All right? Likewise, you can say that living things is categorized into two based on these two types of nutrition. We have those living things that have the ability to produce their food by themselves. All right? Then we have those ones that cannot produce their food by themselves. Do you understand? Both plant and animals, some can produce their food by themselves, all right? While some cannot produce their food by themselves, which I will tell you in this video. Now, autotrophic, the word auto means self, which means that these living organisms have the ability to produce their food by themselves. That is the autotrophs, all right? Autotrophic here is a type of nutrition or the mode of nutrition in which living organism is capable of producing their food by themselves. And these living organisms are known as producers because they have the ability to produce their food by themselves from simple inorganic substance. Do you understand? Now here we have two types of autotroph. We have it as photosynthesis. We have it here as chemosynthesis. Now, what is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis here is the process by which green plants is capable of producing their food by themselves in the presence of sunlight using chlorophyll, water, and carbon dioxide. All right? And it is also a series of stepwise reaction because we have the light reaction and the dark reaction, which I'm not going to explain further in this video because this is introduction class. But let's listen here. Let's listen. Look at the chemical equation here. You can say that photosynthesis is the series of stepwise reaction in green plants in which 6 molecules of carbon dioxide react with 6 molecules of water molecule in the presence of sunlight using chlorophyll to produce the first stable product here, which is glucose, then produce also 6 molecules of oxygen gas, which is given off as a waste product. All right? Now, this is glucose, right? When this glucose in plant becomes excess, the plant will convert this excess glucose to cellulose, to starch. You understand? Plant converts excess glucose and store them as starch or cellulose, while animals store their excess glucose in the livers and in the muscle cells in form of glycogen. All right? Then the second one here, chemosynthesis here, these ones are seen in bacteria. All right? They have the ability to produce their own food by themselves through chemical reactions. All right? Now here, heterotrophic nutrition here is divided into 4 different types. We have holozoic nutrition, we have symbiotic nutrition, we have, it is also known as mutualism, that is relationship aspect. Then we have here parasitism, then we have saprophytism. All right? Here involve the organisms that have teeth, that have muscles, that have skeleton, that have brain, which enable them to move about to search for their food. All right? The symbiotic or mutualism is a relationship between 2 organisms of different species, in which one depends on another in order to survive. Then parasitism here, one organism provides food and shelter, all right, and is being harmed. The one that provides food and shelter for the other partner is known as host. This is host. The other one is parasite. The one that causes damage to host is parasite. It acquires food and shelter without giving anything in return. Then this parasite here is divided into 2. Remember, before you can call it a parasite, it must live there, either inside the body or outside the body. And that is why cockroach is not a parasite. Mosquito is not a parasite because they don't live in an organism temporarily or even permanently. All right? They come and go. Do you understand? All right. Now, if you want to discuss this parasite now, it's divided into 2. We have endoparasites. We have ectoparasites. You understand? Endoparasites live inside the body. Endoparasites live inside the body. Example is tapeworm. Example is hookworm. Example is roundworm. All right? Then why ectoparasites? They live outside the body of the host. Example is tick. All right? Example is lice. Example is ringworm. And so on. These are examples of endoparasites. Then saprophytism. Saprophytism, this is where the living organism feeds on dead and decaying matter. All right? This type of heterotroph is seen in fungi. This is seen in fungi. Do you understand? How do they undergo this saprophytism? If this is the food, for example, let's say the marker here I have on my hand here is food, and I am the fungi. I'm going to secrete digestive enzyme on this food. All right? Fungi secrete digestive enzyme on the food so that the digestive enzyme will digest that food outside the body. Then after digestion, the food will be converted to nutrients. I will start to absorb these nutrients into my body. You understand? If you look at the whole process, digestion takes place outside the body. You call this type of digestion extracellular digestion. All right? Digestion here is extracellular digestion. Do you understand? That is saprophytism. The organism, like fungi, feed on dead and decaying matters. All right? That is all about the nutrition. The next we're going to look at is irritability. Let's look at irritability. This here is the ability of living organisms to detect and respond to change in their environment. Both plants and animals respond to changes in their environment. As I discussed earlier, plants move in order to respond to changes in their environment. Plant moves in order to respond to stimuli. All right? Plants move towards the direction of sunlight. When plant shoots, grows towards the direction of sunlight, such response is known as positive phototropism. When plants move towards the direction. But when it moves away, it becomes what? Negative phototropism. Which plant parts move away from the source of light? That is the roots. The root move towards the direction of water. So root exhibits positive hydrotropism. All right? Then why the shoot exhibits positive phototropism. Next we are going to look at on the board is growth. Let's look at growth. Let's look at growth. Growth is what? It is irreversible increase in size, in shape, and in weight. All right? Growth is irreversible increase in size, in shape, and in weight. All right. Now, both plant and animal grows. Plant and animal undergoes growth as one of the way we recognize living things. But we're going to look at growth in plants. Growth originates from germination. Germination is the first state of growth, germination. And we have two types of germination. We have epigynous germination and hypogynous germination. All right? Epigynous germination here is where the plant seed and the seedling is taken above the soil. All right? And it is taken above the soil. This growth is caused as a result of elongation. As a result of elongation. As a result of elongation of this growth occurs as a result of elongation of hypocorti. The growth occurs as a result of elongation of hypocorti. So as the hypocorti move above, it takes both the seed leaves and the seed above the soil. While the hypogynous germination occurs as a result of elongation of epicorti. Elongation of epicorti. Elongation of hypocorti causes epigynous germination. Elongation of epicorti causes hypogynous germination. Do you understand? All right. The next is excretion. Living things have the ability to get rid of toxic waste products of metabolism. They have the ability to get rid of toxic waste product of metabolism. All right? Excretory structure in plants. We have lenticle. we have stomata. Then animal, we have kidney, we have liver, we have skin. These are the excretory organs we have in both plants and animals. Then the next is reproduction. Are we okay? All right. Reproduction on the board here is one of the characteristics of living things, in which living organisms have the ability to give rise or produce more offspring for continuity of life. All right? They have the ability to produce more offspring for continuity of life. Here we have types of reproduction. We have here asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. All right? Asexual reproduction here are fission. We have fission, we have budding. We have fragmentation. We have vegetative propagation. Then the vegetative propagation here is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 as budding. Again, we have marcoting. We have layering. We have grafting. We are going to discuss all of that by the time we look at reproduction as a topic. All right? Sexual reproduction can be conjugation. All right? And other sexual reproduction that involve the mixing of the male and female gametes. Remember, this one here involves only one parent. As sexual reproduction involves only one parent, and there is no formation of gametes. All right? The parents look the same as their offspring because there is no exchange of genetic materials, and that could lead to that could cause no mutation. The offspring look the same as the parent because there is no exchange of genetic materials, and that could cause no variation, no mutation, no variation. All right? Then in sexual reproduction, it involves two parents, and there is formation of gametes. There is exchange of genetic materials, there is mutation, and that leads to variation. We are going to look deep into this by the time we are going to discuss reproduction as a topic. The next is death. When living thing dies, it becomes non-living things. All living things must die. Take notes. Virus is not a living organism. Virus is not a living organism. It is acellular. Virus is acellular. All right? Very smaller than bacteria. All right? The smallest living organism is a bacteria. And that bacteria is Mycoplasma gallisepticum. That's the smallest living organism on earth. It's a bacteria known as Mycoplasma gallisepticum. Virus is smaller than Mycoplasma gallisepticum, but virus is not a living organism. All right? When it gets to the body of the host, it starts to behave as a living thing. And the major characteristic of living things virus exhibits when it gets into the body of the host is replication. All right? Virus on its own is known as virion. It is not a living organism. It becomes virus when it gets into the body of the host. That is when it attacks the host. Then the next is adaptation. Adaptation. Living organism, both plant and animal, adapt to the change in their environment. For example, when there is scarcity of water, it is not immediately the scarcity of water that the animals or animal will die. They will try to some extent to adapt. Some may not adapt to that change in the environment, while some will start to develop some certain structure that will enable them to survive. All right? It is adaptation that leads to competition. All right? The two are working in hands. When the organism start to adapt to the change in the environment, some will die. Let's say scarcity of food. Organism competes in order to adapt to the change in the environment. Let's say we have scarcity of food in the environment now. Animals will start to compete with one another in order to do what? Adapt to that change in their environment. Both plants and animals adapt to the changes in their environment. So adaptation here is said to be the process by which living organisms adjust themselves in order to survive. To the change in their environment. In order to survive to change in their environment. Here, organisms compete with one another when there is insufficient of nutrients or water or space. All right? In order to survive. This comes to the end of the video today, the introduction class. In the next class, we are going to look at cell. And thank you, and God bless you. As we are through with this introduction class, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit the like button. Even if you don't like this video, try to hit the like button for us, okay? Drop your questions in the comment section. Thank you, and God bless you. Once again, Happy New Year.